Hey man, I'm Chris with Foam Cats, and I am so tired of losing with this Hunter Strength deck. Here's the deck list that I'm trying right now. I've tried more late game builds, but I just keep getting stomped by the big three, and it's really demeaning. I've tried builds that were like all creatures, so I wasn't playing with Rancor, and I wasn't playing with Prey Upon, and I lost. A lot. Frequently, I tried to give him a chance and I just lost. So right now I'm playing like this kind of fast build. I got all Rancors, all Prey Upons, the Fauna Shamans, and all the Colonian Tuskers, and Garruk's Companions even. The 2-drops and 1-drops I'm not playing with are Savage Summoning, Revive, Nature's Lures. And we'll keep scrolling on to the 3s. I'm not playing with Gloom Widows, Staff of the Mages, or Beastmaster Ascension. And look at all those cards that I'm not playing with so far and how bad they are against the big three. If you draw a hand with these cards in it, you're dead, dude. Like there's a hand with Savage Summoning, Revive, Nature's Lore, Gloom Widows, and a Staff, and you just stand no chance. We'll keep scrolling up here for a sec. Beastmaster Ascension I passed on, and both these Oaken forms. Oh my god, let me skip ahead a little bit and bitch about how much it drives me crazy that this deck has one Elephant Guide, 3/3, and when it dies you put an elephant into play. And then 2 of these, 3/3, no elephant. Man, they just made this deck suck on purpose. Here's the rest of the 3, or we're done with the 2s. Here are the 3-drops that I have. Predatory Ooze is such a fun one of 3 mana for a 1/1, indestructible. Every time it swings, give it +1/+1. Every time a creature dealt damage by it dies, put a +1/+1 on it. So you can attack and they can block it. And then you do Prey Upon and kill something or kill that creature. And then it gets another +1/+1. I've lost games just to this Ooze, so play with it. I'm playing with the Eternal Witnesses for their graveyard recursion, but at the same time I'm not playing with Regrowth, which is 2 mana. But think about it, dude. You pay 1 extra green and you get a 2/1. So that seems fine by me. I'm playing with the old school Stompy card, Leatherhead Balrog. 3 mana for a 4/5 with no abilities. I like them. Right now I've got both Sacred Wolves too. They're fun against Mind Maze. You'll see them like try to play their Unsummon, or try to play their like little 2 mana clone thing on it and not be able to do it. It's okay. Just having a 3/1 on the board will stop a lot of decks from attacking because they won't want to lose their Lord of the Unreal or whatever little zombie pumper-upper they have, so it's nice in that it can't be dealt with. Besides sacrifice mechanics. Pulse of the Tangle is one of the new unlocks. 3 mana for a 3/3 beast, and then if an opponent still has more creatures than you, you keep this thing in your hand. So 3 mana for a 3/3, and then after it comes into play, if your opponent still has more creatures, you get to keep it. A little weird. I don't know. Maybe it's good in a light version of this deck, a light creature version of this deck. Master of the Wild Hunt is a one of, but you would wish that there were more. 4 mana for a 3/3. Every turn, at the beginning of your turn, you put a wolf into play, and you can tap this dude. Tap all untapped wolf creatures, and they all gang up on one creature your opponent controls. No, just to any creature, so you can kill your own dudes if you're hurting. And then that creature attacks the wolves. It's a little bit of a controversial play if you're playing with Sacred Wolf, because this is a wolf. And I'm almost positive I was in the situation to where this wolf jumped in the wolf pile. So while he's hexproof, he is a wolf, and he will just jump in the fray with the others. So that's a little touchy. This Fangren Firstborn has crazy art, and it's 4 mana for a 4/2. Whenever it attacks, each attacking creature get +1/+1. So that goes for him. So I mean, it's 4 mana for a 4/2, but the first time he attacks, you're going to be swinging with a 5/3. So that's decent. But the same, I could talk myself out of it. I really hate these Cudgel Trolls, but they're in my deck. It's 4 mana 4/3 with regeneration, and I don't know, man. It just never works out for me. We'll keep moving. Alright, this Bellowing Tangleworm is like a peculiar win condition. 5 mana for a 4/4, Intimidate, and other green creatures you control have Intimidate. So unless you're playing a green deck, which is the Mirror Match, the Dragon deck, or the Eldrazi deck, then this thing's just gonna swing through. Normally they'll find some way to deal with it, but I mean, it needs to be dealt with. Okay, here's some cards that are kind of similar. Overwhelming Stampede and Overrun have a lot in common and a lot different. Overrun, creatures you control get +3/+3 and trample until end of turn. It's the old school green Stompy deck standard. I think this card is better, and that's the reason that there's only one of them. 5 mana, same mana cost. Until end of turn, creatures you control get trample and XX, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So as long as you have something with 3 power, this thing breaks even. So let's scroll through. 4, 4, 3, 3, 4, 2, 1, 3, 3. And then you got Rancors, which just take it to the next level. And that's only scrolling to the left. And that's like you playing it on turn 5. And the build that I have, you don't want to play your Overrun or your Overwhelming Stampede on turn 5. I'm playing like this late game build, like a late game creature deck. But we'll keep scrolling. I got both these Rampaging Baloths, 6 mana for a 6/6 trample. That's fine, that's well rounded. And then every time you play a land, you put a 4/4 beast into play. Dope. I can see why people would want to play Nature's Lore because of that. And a lot of people will hold on to their Nature's Lores till late game, which seems, I don't know, a little peculiar. But if you're gonna hit all your land drops and you know you have one of these in your hands, you might as well try to get a 4/4 out of the deal. You got Primal Crux, a little weird. It's 6 mana for a star, and it has power and toughness equal to the number of green casting costs you control and your permanents. And if you scroll around, a lot of your stuff is green casting cost. There's 3 right there, and then all your 2 drops are green. Eternal Witnesses have 2, a Baloth has 3. So that thing's gonna come into play, and I've had it drop as just like a 10/10 before, and that's pretty common or reasonable. Primeval Bounty is a one of in this deck that I need more of, dude. It's 6 mana. Whenever you cast a creature, you throw a 3/3 beast. Whenever you cast a non-creature, one of your creatures gets +3/+3. Whenever you play a land, you gain 3 life. So this is like this versions of the deck of Dire Undercurrents, to where every time that you do something, you're gonna get an advantage out of it. It's strong. If you draw this and you're in the late game, things just tilted in your favor. I'm playing with the Garruk's Horde. It's 7 mana for a 7/7 trample. That's solid. And then it kind of has like an ability that's akin to Oracle of Moldiah, to where you play with the top card of your library face up, and then if it's the card that's centric to your deck, for this deck it's creatures, you can play it. And in the Chant of Moldiah deck, the forest is the center of that deck, so if the top card is a forest, you can play it. Little weird though, because you play it on turn 7, and then you're going to be tapped out. So this is like just a really late game card that can give you some slow card advantage. Right now I'm playing with Protein Hulk, and I think it's because I read about people grabbing, you grab something that costs 6 when this dies. And I read that people were grabbing all the way over here, grabbing their 2 Eternal Witnesses. And does it put them into play or put them in your hand? I can't even remember right now. But think of it being an average game to where they're killing your creatures and stuff. Oh, and you put them on the battlefield. That is strong. So turn 7, you play this. Say go. Your opponent's either gonna kill it, attack, or you just stop their momentum. So let's say that they attack, and then you block, and then this thing dies. Then you just go back to your library, and I don't know, there may be some other stuff. Let's think about everything else. You could grab a Primal Crux and then swing in for the win next turn if you have a whole bunch of green permanents. But if you're playing this weird control-y build, you could grab your Master of the Wild Hunt if you're playing that long con. But yeah, dude, grabbing 2 Eternal Witnesses and then putting them directly into play, and then grabbing 2 things out of your graveyard and then putting them into your hand, that's solid. I just like the sound of that. Oh my god, I want this Regal Force to work. It never has worked for me, but I'm still trying. 7 mana for a 5/5. When it comes into play, draw a card for each green creature you control. I want it to work. But I've had those terrible games before to where you have like one creature on the board and then you cast this and then like lose next turn. I want this deck to work, but I just haven't found that right build yet. It's not an aggro. Like, the perfect build of this deck isn't the aggro version, which kind of makes me want to pull the Rancors and just play that long game of creature overwhelming. But here's what I'm not playing with. We went through the 3s and stopped about here. You can play with a Brawn. It's okay. 4 mana for a 3/3, and as long as it's in your graveyard, creatures you control get trample. If you're playing a control version, or you're just terrified of Pariah locks, you can play with Bramble Crush. A little weird. Hunt of the Weak gives you some mediocre creature control. It's basically Prey Upon that costs 3 extra and that gives your dude +1/+1. That seems bad. These Sentinel Spiders just are so mediocre that it drives me crazy. Every flying creature, like these don't deal with dragons. These aren't even going to deal with buffed Mind Maze creatures. These aren't going to deal with the Aura deck swinging in with a huge flyer that has like +4/+4, +X/+X for planes. They give you 3 overruns and 3 enlarges. 5 mana, target creature gets +7/+7, and it must be blocked. This one's worth considering, but I don't know, man. It's nice. It's way better than this. Look, this thing gets +1/+1 and makes creatures fight. And this thing gets +7/+7, trample, and makes creatures fight, because it must be blocked. So, I don't know. I'm kind of content with doing this live, because I'm not playing the aggro build. So, that's what I'm playing now. I don't know. We'll see if that's foolish or not. Here's some fat stuff that you can play. God, all the rest of this stuff costs so much mana. 7 mana for a 2/2, and when it comes into play, you distribute 3+1s, 2+1s, and then 1+1/+1, however you want. So it's basically like a Cone of Flame, but instead of giving out damage, you deal +1/+1s. I don't like it. I was playing with this Crater Hoof Behemoth, and I don't know. Maybe I need to work it back in. It really looks like it is this card. Where are you? It looks like it's this built into a creature. So this is 5 mana and does +X/+X. And this one's 8 mana and gives your creatures +X/+X. But the X is where it's the number of creatures you control. So that's another oddity. I don't know, it is 8, and let's say that you had like 4 creatures on the board, so all your dudes get +4/+4. And then this dude turns into a 9/9 with haste. On turn 8, I don't know. I don't know if that's the nuts of the deck or not, but the concept, the main concept, is to overwhelm them with creatures. And then possibly overrun them, literally, with creatures. So try this build out. I just live edited it, so it's really funky. And maybe I should play with another forest. But whatever, give it a shot. I don't know how to play this deck, dude. This is one of the bad ones to me. I would love to find a build that works, but I can't. That's it for this vid. Check out phonecats.com. I'll show you more cool iOS and iPad and iPhone games and good deals on iPhones and iPads. Thanks for watching. Phonecats.